Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. This time, we're going to go over my new Shenron hand control deck list. So this is something I really was looking forward to doing after Clash of Fates came out. I saw Frieza Army Healing Pod, and the Yu-Gi-Oh player inside of me said, you have to do something crazy with Card of Safe Return. Anyone who gets that reference understands what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I built this deck together. I think it's a really good hand control list, so we'll go through it in just a minute. Right before that, though, if you guys are new to the channel, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button would be amazing of you guys. If you guys want some help on your deck list, talk about Dragon Ball Super, join our Discord down in the description below. That's right there. And if you guys are longtime fans of the channel, you can consider supporting me on Patreon, which is also in the description below. It would really mean the world to me. It would really be really helpful. It helps us just bring you guys this content that we love to bring you guys. I actually just did an article about the Shenron hand control matchup, you know, just all the general knowledge you need for that matchup. And I talk about this deck in there as well versus the typical version you might remember from like a format ago. So definitely check that out. I got a couple Patreon shoutouts. Thank you guys. Thank you Arun, Caleb, Max, and John. Thank you guys so much for deciding to support the channel. So with that being said, we'll get into this deck profile. So you guys all know what the Shenron leader does. I'm sure everyone's like really tired of seeing it on videos, but it's just that good. I mean, it facilitates decks like this like crazy. So we have 4 Purunga's Dragon Ball. I just like how it looks better than regular Dragon Ball. Although when those new event pack Dragon Balls come out, those are going to look sick. 3 1-star ball. I kind of keep going back and forth between 3 and 2 of this because you do have radar to recycle them, and in certain matchups the 3 1-star ball can be a bit clunky, but overall I think 3 is the best just to kind of maximize the hand control of the deck. I mean, ideally against most decks you want to really go on your first 3 energy, turn 1, turn 2, first 3 energy, 1-star looping your opponent. You want to just rip the cards out of their hand. And let me just preface with this. The fact that Janemba is the big winner of the last major event, PPG Atlantic City, this deck is insane against that deck. If that's the deck you want to beat, if that's the juggernaut of the format, which I definitely think it's one of the big decks of the format, this is a deck that will come in and just absolutely clean up against Janemba. So very, very much do consider this deck in your testing if you're playing Janemba or if you want to beat Janemba. So 3 1-star ball for that reason. 2 Dragon Radar, it's kind of like our grind card in the deck. This is a big green deck, so you could play that 2-drop Trunks from Miraculous Survival that also recycles Dragon Balls, but the Radar just helps you dig for cards. Like it just becomes a pot of greed if you need it. Just allows you to loop your 1-star balls, so I prefer this card over that Trunks, but you can also dig back your Desires if you need to later game as well. 4 Super Combo Standard, 2 Crisis Crusher. This is like the main reason this is in the main deck is to answer Black Mass Sand, because obviously you're a pretty big Child's Wish strategy, so you don't really want to face down a Black Mass Sand, but it's kind of like a little bit of main deck aggro help, but you definitely want to sideboard a 3rd one of this, and 3 striving to be the best Son Goku. Then we have Newfound Power Purunga. So typical curve of the deck is like this is going to come down on 3, and then you're going to free Child's Wish out one of your 3-drop 15Ks. This is just going to keep your hand parity really high. You're going to be ripping your opponent's hand apart with 1-star ball, and you're going to be refueling your own hand with Purunga. I prefer this over the Shenron Figure Majesty because we're not playing Objection in this deck, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but this is like the best Black Dragon, I guess we'll call it, that fits in the curve. Like I said, turn 3, you just play it down, you start drawing crazy amounts of cards, and your opponent has to answer this card, otherwise you're just going to keep drawing off of it, and it's just absolutely nuts. So I mean, in my opinion, and like I said before, the Shenron Figure Majesty just doesn't fit very well into the curve, in my opinion, of the deck. So I like the Purunga a lot. Just keep your hand parity, you keep your hand very high, while you keep your opponent's hand very low. Then we have 2 World Peace. I think 2's fine because you have Dragon Radar to recycle it. You have Dragon Radar to also dig for it. You're playing Shenron, so naturally you draw a bajillion cards. So 2's been totally fine. 1 Beyond Darkness Demigra. You're playing hand control. This is a great card. So then we have the blue package. So we have 4 Senzu Bean. You kind of just need it in your aggro matchups. It's also really good when you're going for game. Any Shenron deck that's kind of going for game, you can Senzu Bean your attacker if you have that 1 blue energy up. Like let's say I'm going for game with an All Class Vegeta or Super 17, or you know, giving any of those things triple attack. If you have that 1 blue energy up, that Senzu Bean's like a 5k combo for free every single attack, which is really, really good. 3 Weesis Coercion. A lot of people play like 2 or no negates in Shenron hand control. I usually am a big fan of playing 4 negates no matter what, but like you guys might remember from my Broly deck profile and seeing it in this deck profile, I'm getting a bit more comfortable with 3 negates, especially depending on what the deck's trying to do, and I just need to cut room to fit some other tech cards in. So 3 Whis, definitely sideboard the 4th one if you're coming against aggro or anything with really big hitters. 3 Auto Class Vegeta. This is one of the other win cons of the deck. This is like the turn 5 like oh crap button. for, you know, trying to win the game that way because you're not playing objection in this deck. However, this is one of the best cards you can give triple attack with Shenron. It's also spot removal. It's also just taking life in matchups where, you know, it's really slow, like Janemba or like any other slow matchup. So, really good win con in the deck. Now we come to the card that I base this entire deck around, which is Frieza Army Healing Pod. So this is a 1-drop green extra card. A lot of people might not know what it does because it's not super duper meta relevant yet, but auto once per turn. When you play a green battle card from your drop area, draw 1 card. The activate main we're not even concerned about at all. You're realistically not going to do that unless it's going to like win you the game. But yeah, that's the ability that you want to just abuse. So the way the card advantage works on this, you play down the Frieza Army Healing Pod for a -1, right? As soon as you Child's Wish or free Child's Wish back any of the 3-drops or any of the green battle cards, you replace the Frieza Army Healing Pod, and then from the rest of the game on, anytime you bring back a green battle card, you're plussing. That Frieza Army Healing Pod becomes a plus. So I pretty much swapped Objection out of the deck for this card because I feel like it just gives you a little bit more value. And since you're playing hand control and one of your main win conditions, Super 17, does require you to discard cards, I figured that having a bigger hand size is just more worth, you know, dropping the objection, keeping your own hand low while you keep your opponent's hand low. If your win con's on turn 4, I don't necessarily think you need objection. Just a personal opinion, but yeah, that's why I decided to go with Frieza Army Healing Pod, and a hand control deck where green is really good at hand control, I felt like was the perfect fit for this whole type of, you know, deck ensemble, genre, whatever you want to call it. So we have the main workhorse in the deck, the 4 energy power Go Tanks. So this is like the main workhorse you're going to bring back off Child's Wish. This is your guy that's going to trigger your Frieza Army Healing Pod, and he is like another pseudo hand control card. I mean, he pretty much is a hand control card. So we wanted to find all the best green battle cards you could play to trigger Healing Pod. So you guys might not remember this guy. He hasn't really been relevant since set 2. So when this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand, places it in the drop area. So no matter what, if this gets negated or Mafuba or anything, your opponent's discarding a card. And like when you get to later parts of the game, when your opponent's at like 4, 3, 2 life, they're gonna like discard a card off the auto and potentially like combo a card away to not take a damage, right? So they're gonna lose 2 cards just for you swinging with this guy, which is really good. There's definitely been games where I've given this guy triple attack. He's a 25k single strike beater, but your opponent's discarding 3 cards per swing. So I mean, if you have a follow-up play or if they're just at that like 2 life, this card can be devastating to even give triple attack if the situation calls for it. Then we have 2 Hone Moves Yamcha. This card's really good, but it's only a 2 of because it's only good in the real slow matchups like Janemba or like Victory Strike, things like that. So he's a 3-drop 15k green, so he triggers your field spell. He has critical, which of course any Shenron hand control deck wants to have that critical or like pseudo crit like Go Tanks has. And then when you play him, you take a card from your life to your hand, and your opponent discards a card. So essentially, you draw 1, your opponent loses 1, and then you draw another one off the healing pod. So it just becomes like a crazy plus. Only 2 though, because it is only good in those certain matchups. But this card is like the go-to card in those matchups. Definitely want to be dropping that guy. Then we have the 2 Iron Hammer Justice Android 16. So this is one of the best cards, period. Nonetheless, one of the best green battle cards you can bring back off Child's Wish. I mean, in your aggro matchups, this guy's your workhorse. Him combined with the Sensu Bean, him combined with your super combos, your opponent kind of just can't beat over it, and if they do, they're losing their battle card no matter what. So people will waste like their Mirror Creator Absorbs just to beat over this guy if they need to do it. But yeah, this is one of the best cards you can possibly Child's Wish back in a Wish strategy, so I'm glad we're playing green. I'm glad it's very playable, and it does trigger your Frieza Army Healing Pod. Now we have our wing edition of the deck, our go-to win condition of the deck if we don't need to get to at all cost Vegeta. Super 17, the Infernal Machine. So you guys definitely recognize this guy from a lot of Shenron hand control lists, although I'm not playing Deborah because he's not a green battle card. Typically in those lists you do want to wish him back, but he doesn't really give you as much of a benefit in this deck. And since you're drawing so much off the healing pods and off of the Purunga, you're gonna have plenty of cards to discard as long as you hit your curve properly. So what he does is double strike, can't be negated, so amazing with the triple attack. He does lose to Pilaf, he does lose to Mafuba, but he's still amazing. When you play his card, you have to discard 2 and your opponent discards 2. So you have like your dead extra cards that you might have in hand, anything like World Peace, or like if you do some weird plays where you Dragon Radar and you grab back your 1-star balls, let's say you wanted to hand loop your opponent but decided that it wasn't a thing you could do, you can actually use a Super 17 to drop any Dragon Balls from your hand. Let's just say you need to. I've had that done against me before. I've done that against certain opponents if I've foolishly Dragon Radar back a 1-star ball. Kind of helps you recover if you make a bad situation. So, really good card. Then we have 2 Hidden Awakening Kale. This is a card I'm still testing out, although I am liking it. I mean, it's just a free board wipe essentially, right? So, Kale, another card people might not remember since set 2. A 4-drop, critical, 20k. When you play this card, KO one of your own battle cards, then you can KO a total cost of 5 in your opponent's board. So it could be a 5-drop or it can be 5 1-drops. And when she attacks, she has crit, and she draws a card if you're at 5 or less in hand. So this is like a better card for grinding out. And yeah, just a free board wipe with World Peace. It's a green energy, so I'm trying it out at 2 right now. Kind of liking it. And then the one of tech option, we've got Final Showdown Son Goku. So this is just a 5-drop green, comes down. It can answer any problem in the game, right? I mean, this is a card we pretty much all know what it does for the most part because it is brand new out of Clash of Fates and it's relatively popular. So yeah, when this guy comes down from the hand only, actually you cannot World Peace him to get his effect, which is a really good balancing act by Bandai. Good job on that. When you play him from your hand, you can blow up any battle card on the board, ignoring barriers. So this is like literally one of the only cards in the game that KOs anything with ignoring barriers, which is really good. So yeah, guys, that's the deck profile. This is a new version of Shenron hand control that I've really been liking and testing. Like I said, I don't think you need objection. I'd rather play cards that get me more cards while I'm trying to neg my opponent cards. Just keeping that hand parity really, really big. Not letting your opponent catch back up. So I really, really like this deck. I think it's a great pick coming off of an event where Janemba just won, which is Pro Play Games Atlantic City. So definitely give it a test, give it a whirl, give it a shot, try it out. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. Really want to know what you guys think after you test it, or just your initial thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crossroad TCG, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
You actually sat through all of that and made it to the end? I don't know how you did it, but now that you're here, you might as well hit the subscribe button that's right above me, or maybe check out some of these other videos. I don't know, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. I really don't know how you did it, but good on you.